I slit the sheet slit on the slitted sheet I sit. Can you hear me? Okay. Hey, Yusuf.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How's my beard?
It's good.
Good. Excellent.
We're already going too far with the podcast stuff.
Why?
Because it sounds like we're like doing like with WNYC. That's what they do on the Radio Lab.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay. So, we just both finished, or I finished, and you're about to finish David Goggins' book.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just going to talk about it and pretend that there's no camera, no microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the book?
It's an mesmerizing book.
Mesmerizing, big word.
I can't say extra. You want to say extra?
No, don't say extra.
It's a mesmerizing book, but it shows me who I don't want to be.
In what sense?
In the sense that I don't want to be the guy that I don't want to like have that to be an endurance athlete in that way. Like I don't want to run. Like if I was there to be an endurance athlete, I'd be an endurance athlete for fun. I wouldn't run and poop on myself and pee on myself. Like, that's not what I would do. Like and he drives his body to the limit in a way that can become deadly. That's not what I want to do with my life. Like I'd rather put that effort somewhere else that can be more useful for the rest of the world.
Like what's so he pushes himself to the point where he poops on himself,
Where he almost
dies and puts his body under stress so that he can discover what his limits are and who he is, and he believes in suffering. You learn stuff about yourself and life, and if it's for you, if it's not running and pooping on yourself, where would you put that kind of effort?
In helping the world, doing something that I personally think could make the world a better place in the sense how changing people's lives.
Like what? I'm telling you, it sounds good.
It's like to say improving, fixing poverty, improving living conditions in Africa, eradicating deadly diseases, fixing the atmosphere, stuff like that. But
how? I mean, that all sounds good, but like, so if in his case he runs very specifically, does specific things, he runs, swims, and bikes, and so when you say you want to solve those big problems, how so? By chopping wood, by building. So he pushes himself to his limits by specifically those fitness things. How would you push yourself? Do you think it's necessary that you push yourself to a limit? You doing something?
I think it depends on the situation. I think if it's 100%, you have to do 24-hour shifts and stay up and do things and do that kind of stuff. Then yes, it's necessary. But there's a point where there's like a boundary that you cross before that, what he pushes himself to. That point is the healthy and then the insane. He goes from like okay, I understand, and he crosses it and he goes into the insane zone where he's doing all this stuff. The reason why I understand why he's been divorced like 3 times already. Like that first wife, second wife, I don't know if it's the third wife, but it makes sense now.
What does him being the...
No, because he focuses so much on this, like, these things that he does, and I don't want that to be me. I don't want to focus solely on these I want to have like a balanced life. So
you're saying, to put words in your mouth, he's hyper focused.
Yes, he's hyper focused on one thing, and I don't want to be not me, but I wouldn't like to be known for only doing like one thing and making everything obscure.
So do you think he's only known for one thing?
No, I mean I don't mean like he's only known for one thing. What I mean is that...
Because I don't think he's known for one thing at all. I mean, I think he's known for one thing at a time.
But I'm saying like he focuses on something, which is a good thing, but he focuses on it to an extent that it completely destroys anything else he might have been doing. Like it destroys his marriages, it destroys his social life. But I'm sure he doesn't care about that. I'm sure that's not like he's focusing on. I'm sure all what he's focusing on is what he's doing.
Do you think you can do anything great? Like, he went from being the least likely person to be a Navy SEAL to a Navy SEAL, from nothing to one of the best endurance athletes. Do you think you can do that kind of stuff without being insanely focused and sacrificing a wife.
I think when he's doing, that's the becoming the Navy SEAL thing. When he did that, that was the right amount. That was the focus and dedication that you need to get to it. That was necessary for him to accomplish a dream. The running the ultra, that's a goal, not a dream. There's a difference.
What's the difference?
So a goal is a dream is something you really, really, really want. A goal is just something you want to take off.
Okay.
I feel like his becoming a Navy SEAL for him was a dream. Just to finish doing the Badwater, that was a goal, not a dream.
So what's your dream?
My dream is to become president.
Why are you smiling?
Huh?
Why are you smiling?
I don't know. It seems like him an unlikely thing.
Now let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you can become president? Now you are a Muslim, an Arab. Do you think you can become president without sacrificing and doing even a family, sacrificing a wife?
Then that's not
without being hyper focused?
No. Yes, I do think that.
Because if you think about it, what do most of the Navy SEALs have in common? What's their backgrounds? What do they have in common in terms of backgrounds?
I don't know. What do they have?
I'm assuming that they're mostly white. Well, I'm not assuming. I know. I'm from the story and having read about other SEALs, they're mostly white. They come from a very specific background. They're usually athletes of some sort, right? That's who Navy SEALs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the pool that they usually come from. And he was exactly the opposite.
He was black.
Didn't know how to swim. His body was very awkward for swimming. He was more a linebacker than anything else. He came from an abusive family. He was unprivileged in the true sense of the word. He had no privilege.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he became a Navy SEAL ++. So in the same way, you don't come from the pot that they pick presidents from. Mm-hmm. You are not white. You're not a WASP.
Mm-hmm. You
know what a WASP is?
No.
A white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. You don't come from a long lineage of. You're not a Kennedy.
But neither was Obama. And
what?
Obama still has a family. That's the difference. So that's what I want to be. President Obama, he's the first African-American black person to be in office. But he didn't sacrifice his family. His family came out.
I think I'm stumped. Good job. That is a very, very good point. I mean, he did become president, and he didn't sacrifice his family.
That's what I want to be. I don't want to be so...
So how do you do that? So first of all, I think it's a good dream to become president. And I think you're right. I mean, if you think about it, Obama, that's a very great point. Obama is a black person who has a Muslim name and a Muslim father who's not Muslim, and he became president, and he seems to have a very close relationship.
Mm-hmm. But also there's another thing about David Goggins. So there is a level of like not motivation, but of like focus that you have to have. He goes beyond that level of focus that you need, and that's excessive.
Okay, so you think you need, in terms of focus, you need to go to an 8, and he goes to a 15.
Yeah, he sacrifices his family, his career. He sacrifices that for no reason. He can avoid doing that. He could still be married to his first wife.
Well, we don't know really what the...
Yeah, but like he could still that he could have saved a lot of other
So you're
things.
saying that he could have been a Navy SEAL. He could have done these endurance athletics without sacrificing.
You did this. You did the Ultraman. You did all that, but we're doing a podcast now. You didn't sacrifice that. You found loopholes to train yourself.
Like what?
Like doing movie night while doing a 100-mile ride in the living room that was new to you, but you figured a way to spend time with the family.
And so, but you do have to, and I agree. Mm-hmm. So in doing the Ultraman, didn't sacrifice my family, but you have to sacrifice other things. I had to sacrifice some things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do some of these. I just chose in that case consciously not to sacrifice my family, but you have to sacrifice your free time. You have to sacrifice spending time with your friends. You have to sacrifice being able to watch Netflix whenever you want. you cannot do, in my opinion, great things, whether it be President, do Ultraman, do some of these races without sacrificing. In my opinion, the question is what you consciously choose not to sacrifice. Right? Interesting point. What did you think about the cursing in the book?
It was excessive.
Do you think, though...
It was excessive to the point where I thought that it's too much. Like, there were certain points where, yes, to accentuate a point, he should, like, but he can put it in there, but there is other stuff, like, I can also tell the ghostwriter isn't used to cursing. The ghostwriter isn't used to cursing, but being around him makes him curse. And that's another thing. I feel like if they hadn't cursed as much, the book would have been a lot more popular, and they would have been able to give it to they would have been able to sell to a much wider range. But now, because of all that cursing and all those remarks, they can only sell to the above, say, 17, 16 mark because of all that. And that's for no reason. It's not like they had to curse.
I think he talked about it in at one point with we need to get the ghostwriter's name. Was it Alex? Anyway, he believes in being authentic in every way possible. So he does not want to change who he is or his message, whether he curses, whether he sounds pompous or anything like that. And I believe it's very important to be authentic, especially in today's world. But I agree with you. I think the cursing was excessive, and I think it's a very astute point what you said, because I also think the ghostwriter is not a cursor, but he found himself cursing, and I don't know if that's the best message. And another thing is, as I was listening to it, I kept on thinking maybe this is not the best book for you to listen to, so your ears don't grow accustomed to that kind of language, which is not ideal language. So even though it's authentic to who he was, I think I would have avoided the cursing, because the message needs to be heard by a lot of people.
It's an important message, it's all about the mindset, and you can change who you are. It doesn't matter where you were born. But because of that, he can't share it with the rest of the world.
I agree with that, and so far we agree with almost everything. What didn't you like about the book?
I didn't like I didn't like the whole podcasty thing in the middle. I maybe the challenges could have been kept, but the whole podcasty thing ruined it. I wish you just kept on with the story.
I agree in the beginning, but then I found it useful when he started telling more stories. So in the first couple of podcasty type things, I also wanted to fast forward just to get to the book itself, and didn't like the format. But then when they start adding more stories, I started to like it.
I had actually one of the first Navy SEAL book I read was called The Heart and Fist by Eric Greitens. He was in the SEAL class right after, and he says the same story about the two twins that they swapped, and about the officer dying. They were in he was in the SEAL class after Goggins, and a lot of these stories I've heard them before, because he says the same story.
I hadn't heard them before. I didn't read that book. So, what was your favorite part about the book?
So far, SEAL training and how he went through it 3 times.
Yeah, that was amazing. I'm talking about not giving up.
And he went through it 3 times, and even the SEAL instructor was like, "Okay, now if you fail, you're not gonna go in." That was a good message that you shouldn't give up.
What else did you like about the book? Actually, let me put it that way. Let me ask you a different question. What are you going to do? What will you do differently having read the book? Or
having read the book, I've started waking up a lot earlier now. I wake up at 6:30 every morning now.
Yeah.
It's like I wake up at 6:30. Even this morning I woke up at 6:30, even though I don't have any classes. I still woke up at 6:30.
And did it make you want to run or do an Ironman?
It did.
Or swim or...
I understand him wanting the peace. It's very peaceful in the morning and everybody's still sleeping. So,
but I'm just saying, did you read the book and it's like, you know what, tomorrow I just want to go for a 20-mile run?
No. Those books, books don't affect me in that way. Like they don't affect me in the wanting to run. That doesn't like I have to do that on my own. Like I have to start running on my own if I want to do that.
That's interesting because I'm exactly the opposite. Once I read a book like this, I feel the need to go for a run,
Mm-hmm.
and I did. I ran
run?
almost every day this week listening to the book.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. So it's interesting. That's a difference in us
Mm-hmm.
because I remember the first time I read Dean Karnazes' book. I was in London, and you guys were in America,
Mm-hmm.
and so I finished reading the book, and it was the first running book I ever read. So it was really impactful on me. And he told the story when he was 30, and he went on this really long run for 30 miles or something like that. I was so inspired. I finished reading the book.
I read the book.
I think it's called Ultra Marathon Man.
Yeah, I read it. I read it. After.
The book with the pizza story.
Yeah, and when he ran 50 miles and 50
No,
marathons.
not that book. It's his first book. I think it's called 50 or something like that. No, this is his first book called Ultra Marathon Man.
Oh, no.
And so I finished reading the book, and you guys were in America, and I was alone in London at that time, and I put on my shorts. I started running. It was cold, and I ran 20 miles. And ended up running out of energy and taking the train back to London.
How long did you run?
20 miles. So, for me, what I changed almost immediately after reading it was stretching.
Yeah, he stretches for 2 hours.
That's one thing, because I have lots of body problems, and when you do a lot of running, swimming, biking, repetitive motions, you just exacerbate any problems you have, and I'm generally very tight, and so I really like the whole stretching part, and decided to do that, and I'm now looking for different ways to stretch.
Mm-hmm.
What else did I I'm really thinking seriously about waking up early, and it's something I've struggled with for a very, very long time. I sleep late, and I oversleep, and I feel really crappy in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the idea of waking up at 4 a.m. no matter what. Or I've always loved that idea and been obsessed with that idea, but never been able to do it.
But we got to see a little bit of it when we're all, especially when we're jet lagged. And that, like, when we're jet lagged, it's like we wake up at 4:30, 3, and that's nice. Like when we wake up, it's nice. We're all awake, and it's a way to experience that.
I do. Don't get me wrong. Every time I wake up at 4 a.m. and I feel wonderful, and I'm productive, and by 7 a.m. I've done more than I've done the whole day, the previous day. I just can't. I just have been unable, or unwilling is probably the better word, or don't have enough willpower to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you think I can do that? What advice would you give me?
I don't know. Waking up early is easy. You have to. For me, it's so easy to wake up early when I'm excited about something. Say every morning at 7, I have something that I like doing. It's very easy for me to wake up early. Say if I have a class, that's hard. Like waking up, like I have no reason to wake up. It's not something I like. But say the best thing to do is to schedule something you like at the beginning. Say like you like.
So what do you think I like that I would wake up for?
Not a bike ride. That's not something like spending time running with your brother, or spending time. You like spending time with people.
Mm.
So say you schedule to spend time with, I don't know, your mother or your dad. You'd wake up early and you get ready. But if you have nothing, you have no reason to wake up early.
Yeah, I love running in the morning with people. That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Would you run with me in the morning?
Sure.
Okay. So what else? What else did you get out of this book? Or do you have any questions for me about the book?
No, I have to finish the book tomorrow.
I think. What did you think about this? What we just did? Is this something you would want to?
I would like doing. I can imagine this becoming very popular because people listen to podcasts like this. They like podcasts like this. I can imagine if we get rid of.
But forget. I'm sorry to cut you off. Forget it being popular. That's not interesting to me. What would you get out of this?
Talking to you, like I like this. This is fun. I like talking to you in general, like about stuff. Like say we talk about politics, we talk about a topic. That's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I like. For me, this. I enjoy talking to you, and I enjoy. There's something about even having the microphone that changes the dynamic where, in a good way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We're listening to each other. We're setting aside the time just to basically just to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the idea of having these conversations for the future, where you can maybe show your kids, or I can listen to them when I'm old and alone. That's sad. I'm sad.
Okay, well, we're gonna press pause.
No. Yeah, I like it. I think.
I think we should pick topics. Like, say something happens, that we'll discuss it. Let it be politics, let it be news. So, and I think it's something that interests us both. Say it be new technology.
So yeah, it doesn't just have to be a book.
No, it can be anything we're both interested in. As long as we're both interested in it, and then that's it. We post on iTunes. It's free. We'll do it.
All right. Okay. I agree.
You should pick the topics. Let me know, and I'll say it's the OnePlus event or.
So what do we have in common that we both enjoy talking about?
Technology.
Okay.
Politics and news, and sports like cycling and triathlon.
But are you still into triathlon?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with that. History, politics, maybe even philosophy a little bit.
Like, it doesn't have to be something that specializes in one thing.
You know what we can talk about?
What?
That would be really interesting to me.
Hmm.
We can talk about, we can have the real discussion about you as a 14-year-old, should you get a smartphone or not? And really do our homework.
This is coming next. It's our next thing. We should ask our 4 viewers if
we don't have any viewers.
Mama,
it's just
Mama, Tata, Jidda, Muhammad.
Yeah, I think that would be an interesting thing to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this was I enjoyed this.
We have to go watch Creed 2 now.
I have to watch Creed 2 now. All right. Until next time.